and this is an important subject, infidelity. It is true that there are a lot of people that they don't necessarily care if they cheat anymore. And amazingly enough, there are studies out there that talk about that women have become more prone to not care about if they're being infidel or polyamorous. That women feel like they can go ahead and not need to be monogamous. So whether you know as a man that your woman is dating somebody else or cheating on you with somebody else, or it's the other way around. And don't get me wrong, plenty of guys cheat. We know that. But it's also because of the thought process that women will think, well, guys cheat all the time, so I'm going to do the same thing. It's not an acceptable form of behavior anyway. You're hurting people's feelings by doing it. And when you just can't bring yourself to the point that, you know what? If you can't be honest with the person you're with, you can't be honest with the person you're cheating on them with. But there are some people that just don't care, and they'd rather just find a way to go and just make it acceptable behavior. So there's a story that came in about why women may not always feel so bad about cheating. Who has more to gain? And in the story, they talk about how infidelity is strongly predicted by gradual deterioration in relationship quality. Infidelity affects levels of well-being more negatively for perpetrators than for the victims. So the ones that are cheating, instead of the ones being cheated on, their well-being is affected. It's more negative for the person that's the cheater, the one with the less morals, basically. And women, they say, are more likely than men to benefit from initiating affairs. And of course, that's basically the most common reason given for divorce. And that's the worst part, is you decide to get into a commitment, and then you know, if you're a woman and you decide to cheat, that because of the way the laws are, then you're not going to be culpable for anything. You'll most likely, if you have children, the custody will be in your favor. Alimony will be in your favor. And, community property will be in your favor. So research has found several predictors of infidelity. One was a 2018 study by James McNulty and colleagues at Florida State University, saying that infidelity is more common among those less satisfied with their current relationships. Physical attractiveness plays a role. Attractive women are less likely to have an affair, not so for men. Partner attractiveness matters too. Men, but not women, are more likely to be unfaithful when their partners were less attractive. Right. Men will want to go ahead and try to step up to somebody that's a little more attractive, and that's what will happen. And men who reported having more short-term sexual partners prior to marriage were more likely to have an affair. Opposite for women. And they also talk about childhood attachment also being a point of this, and social power being a part of infidelity. But the one part that really caught up to me was the fact that it was more women than men cheating, which is the part I was really curious about. Here's the part I wanted to get to. Gender plays a role in the dynamics of infidelity. Given the popular belief that more men are more inclined toward infidelity, one may assume that they stand to benefit more from it. But however, male initiators of infidelity were more negatively affected by the event than female initiators. Women who started infidelity, who cheated, tended to experience a gradual increase, often in the shape of a rebound, following pre-event declines in personal well-being after the event. That they got a gradual increase in personal well-being. They felt better because they were finally getting, insatiated, satisfied with whatever they're looking for. And infidelity within the former group is beneficial perhaps because lower levels of commitment beget lower levels of hurt and disappointment, insufficient to overwhelm the upside of infidelity, which is excitement, novelty, intimacy, pleasure, excitement. Yeah, that's where women will feel that. And the positive effects that women will get from being cheaters. Authors speculate women's infidelity is more often motivated by relationship dissatisfaction than men's, and cite prior research that infidelity committed for that reason is more likely to lead to positive outcomes, and that women's infidelity may be a wake-up call for their partners, leading to positive behavioral change. Well, one of those things they might decide to do, they might want to keep the other person, their lover, their mister, and try to create a polyamorous relationship. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. It does. We now have a point where, in a story I got from yourtango.com, the healthiest thing you could do when you're in love with two men at once, to not feel a sense of guilt or shame in liking or even loving two people at once. And it may be time to consider ethical non-monogamy, having a physical or romantic connection with more than one partner. And they say that, if you're going to do it, all partners should be aware of the dynamic and are in agreement with it. And so they're actually talking about polyamory is much more common than ever. And that now probably. And so there's a lot of different ways that polyamory comes in, we know. Now, you do learn about the fact that falling in love with more than one person can be terrifying and agonizing, but don't know that this does not reflect poorly on your character. That's what they say. And that only you know your own circumstances. So if polyamory is a topic that can be broached with those in mind. Someone would just probably feel like there's certain aspects in two men that they find if they combine them, as opposed to having one man trying to fulfill all needs. I don't see how that. If it's a casual relationship where it's, if both men are not, or probably would be bisexual, I could see though that works. Because polyamory, I think, would probably only work if the men were definitely going to be involved with each other, and you made it together fully polyamorous instead of two guys sharing the same woman. Because I think there's something beneath men that decide to just share a woman compared to. Now, if you are sharing another woman and the thing is you want to be non-monogamous, that means you want to be with her and then have your own, then I would say that it'd be much more acceptable than polyamorous. But for those guys that feel like that polyamory is good, it's part of like a feeling of being a simp, of just being, that you can't have a complete relationship. That if you want to feel like if you want to do the same thing the woman does and be polyamorous, well, okay, but that she can't deny you having your other people around. And even the which way, if it might be something where it's like a sexual factor of like, well, I want you to make sure that you're not around multiple people and that we're not going to contract anything. Well, that's, it's the same thing of just saying, okay, well, you expect me to go ahead and be protective because of somebody else you brought into the mix. Then you should be able to trust me to do the same. And it should be that way. I would think so. Now there's a phrase called a polycule. How about that? This is based on the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing that was going on with the FTX folks in the Bahamas. So now there's a phrase they got now. A network of interconnected romantic relationships. And so basically it's just a big old orgy of multiple couples together. And actually can be done that way. Wow. Blending of polyamory and molecule reflecting relationship configurations that often resemble the chemical structure of molecules. I hope this is not a normal thing. I really don't. That's just kind of scary if you ask me. Just be non-monogamous. Don't go the route of polyamorous. Because the route of being non-monogamous makes things very healthy to be depraved and debaucherous.